Welcome back to Bernama today. Well, I did promise you a little something about the Penang War. Well, on October 28 or the 28th of October 1914, exactly 100 years ago, during World War I, the Battle of Penang occurred when the German cruiser called Emden apparently attacked and bombed two ships from the allies of World War I. The two ships were Zemchug, coincidentally Zemchug means pearl, from the Russian Navy, and the Mosquet from the French Navy. The event took place at about 4:30 a.m. in the morning, with the German cruiser disguising itself similar to that of the HMS Yarmouth of the British, which confused the French and Russian defenses. Total casualties, they say, were reported at 88 from the Russian Zemchug and 47 from the French Mosquet. The wounded, 121 Russians and 36 French, were actually rescued by the Malay fishermen who were already at sea when the event took place. This marked the friendship between the three countries even before Russia and France established their official embassies in Malaysia. Of this number, 12 Russian sailors were buried in Penang, Western Road Cemetery and Pulau Jerajak, and the Russian embassy organizes a commemoration event twice a year, which was highlighted during Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit to Malaysia. This happened back in 2003, if you remember. Due to the historical event, the number of Russian tourists coming to Malaysia has increased to close to 100,000 people this year, as many Russians are well informed of the Battle of Penang. Here we've got a lot of proposed things happening in the country with regards to our relationship or bilateral relations with Russia and Malaysia. Of course, joining me in the studio is Her Excellency Ludmila Vorobyieva. She was here some time ago. She's back again on a happier note this time around. Your Excellency, a very good morning to you, and thank you very much for joining us. It's great to have you here. There's so much happening with regards to Russia and Malaysia, but not a lot of people know about our relationship. So tell us, in your stay here in Malaysia, for your tenure here in Malaysia, what have you been doing in order to make things, or rather close the gap between us and Russia with regards to bilateral relations, so to speak? We already have a long history. Yeah.
In the 4 years that I've been here, many things happened in our relations, and overall they're going in a very good directions. They have been developing very positively. We had 3 meetings between our leaders and the margins of the APEC summits. Last year in Bali, and
at the APEC summit,
and the APEC summit, and hopefully next month the APEC summit in Beijing. We had quite an active exchange of delegations from different ministries and different business people. We've seen a number of investment projects launched. Our bilateral trade increased by 60% last year. We had a number of cultural events.
When you say bilateral trade increased by up to 60% last year, in which industries are we talking about? Mainly?
The main export of Malaysia to Russia are electronics and electrical devices. Also, we started to export crude oil to Malaysia.
So yeah, there's a lot of good things happening between us and our friends from Russia. Of course, tourism is we're also bringing a lot of Russian tourists to Malaysia, and there's a lot of promotions ongoing in Moscow and various parts of Russia. But no, let's talk about this event that's coming up. And before we get to the event, what actually happened to the sailors? We talked about the sailors, some of them are wounded. What actually happened to these wounded sailors? Do we still hear from them, or have they documented anything?
Zemchug's crew was around 300 people. Actually, I'm wearing pearls today because the ship's name is Zemchug Pearl, Mutiara. So there were 300 people on board, and when the ship started to sink after being attacked by the German cruiser ship Emden, they were all in the sea, and local fishermen in their small boats came to their rescue, and most of the sailors were pulled out from the water. We are now, even now, we appreciate this help and assistance from Malaysians to our fellow countrymen who were in distress. 88 died among 88 12 are buried, we think 12 are buried in Penang. It all happened 100 years ago. It's difficult to trace the families of these people because after World War I, the revolution and the change of regime happened in Russia. Though in the archives in Russia we have some documents about the families of these people.
Right.
Most of them returned back to Russia and fought in World War I and remained in Russia.
And no, it's interesting to know that it's created a pathway for Russians to come here, and because they know, like the write-up says, Russians know a lot about what happened here, or the Battle of Penang. Malaysians, most of us don't know. Maybe historians do, but most of us don't know this. So this brings Russians here. But why do they, when they come here, what does it mean for Russians to go to Penang and visit the site? Do most of them do that?
For Russia, history, our history means a lot. Our history is very long and very complicated, and the history of wars, World War I and World War II, is very important for us because we lost so many lives in these wars. World War I, several million people. World War II, 27 million people. So it's very important for us to remember and to assure that the atrocities of wars will never happen again. We have a inscription on one of the memorials in Moscow dedicated to the soldiers who died in World War II, but I think it can be applied to any war. No one is forgotten. Nothing is forgotten. It's very important not to forget what happened in order to ensure that that will never repeat in future. So in Russia, every family, and I don't think I'm exaggerating, have lost someone during either World War I or World War II. So it affects basically every family in Russia. So it is really important and very meaningful for Russians to have this commemoration ceremonies. We want to remember and pay tribute to our heroes who, though they were so far away from Russia, but they died protecting Russia, protecting our motherland. So it's very meaningful for us.
Right. So a friendship was forged at the Battle of Penang between Malaysians, who were predominantly the fishermen, who went and saved the Russians and, of course, the Frenchmen. And today, there is a commemoration which happens every year on a yearly basis. What's happening this year? This year is the 100th year. Yeah, so it's the 100th year. And what's happening in conjunction with the 100th year of commemoration?
Actually, we have a whole program of events that has already started in April this year, when one of our training ship, a sail ship, Palada, came to Penang, and its crew participated in a commemoration ceremony. But the highlight, of course, will be on the 28th of October, exactly the date when 100 years ago cruiser Zemchuk was sank, and the sailors died. So we'll have a commemoration ceremony in the on the 10 o'clock in the morning, Western Road Cemetery in Georgetown. So I would like to seize this occasion to invite everyone who is interested to participate in this ceremony, to pay tribute.
So that's happening at 10 a.m.?
At 10 a.m. on the 28th of October.
Right.
And there is the grave. We have a memorial there. There's a grave and the anchor from a ship on the grave.
Oh, wow.
Actually, not from Zemchuk, because but Zemchuk is still there in the harbor of Penang.
The Zemchuk is still there?
Yes, yes. The cruiser is still there. So we will pay tribute during a ceremony in the Western Road Cemetery.
Right.
And in the evening we'll have a reception, but by invitations only.
So in the evening there's going to be a reception, but before that there's going to be a little something at the site of
the site of the grave where our sailors are buried in.
Right. And with that, after that event on that day, what else would be happening to foster, or rather forge tighter relations between these countries?
Actually, the program of the events will continue. In mid-November, we'll have a visit of a Navy ship from Russia, Baltic Fleet of Russia, to Penang.
Yep, the Baltic Fleet.
To Penang, one of the ships will come.
That's going to be a huge event, I think.
Hopefully. And the crew and the officers of the ship will also have a commemoration ceremony, because this visit of the ship will also be dedicated to the Battle of Penang and the Russian sailors who died, because we want, and it's very important for young people to know about what is happening. And the sailors of the Russian Navy ship who will be coming to Penang, they're young people. They should know. And they are also in the Navy. They should know what has happened and how their ancestors fought. And
of course, when they arrive in Penang, there will be people there speaking to them. Of course, will this be historians from Malaysia or historians from Russia talking to them about the events that occurred?
Will be embassy.
It will be mostly embassy people.
Of course, we will help them to organize commemoration ceremony. But on the 28th of October, actually, we are expecting the presence of Dr. Robertson, who is an author of the book, The Battle of Penang. If the public is interested to have more details on what happened 100 years ago in Penang, they should refer to the book by Dr. Robertson. It's called In the Battle of Penang, and it has been launched 2 years ago in Penang.
So it's been launched 2 years ago in Penang. Tell us a little bit about the mini museum. What's that all about?
As you may know, in Kuala Lumpur we have a Russian Center for Culture and Science. And on the 30th of October we're opening a mini museum dedicated to cruiser Zemchuk and its crew. So we tried to collect some of the documents. We have something from archives of Russian Navy, some documents on the ship, on the members of the crew, and we'll have an opening ceremony for this mini museum. We'll have a model of the ship displayed there. We'll have some actual things of that time, maybe not from Zemchuk himself, but from similar ships that belonged to Russian Navy at that time. It's a small, it's more of a corner than a full-fledged museum, but it's very meaningful.
So for those of us who don't know where the Russian Cultural Center is, where is it located?
It's off Jalan Ampang. It's Lorong Ampang 2.
It's in Lorong Ampang 2.
Yes.
So don't forget to visit the Russian Cultural Center in Lorong Ampang 2 off Jalan Ampang. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll give you a little bit more information about this upcoming event, and also talk a little bit about a special project. It's called a vaccine for dengue in Pahang. Do you know a little bit about that? If you don't, we have some information for you as to the different areas Russia and Malaysia works together on. We'll come back with that shortly, right here on Bernama Today. Stay with us. Welcome back to Bernama Today. Jared Ratnam with you. Of course, we're talking about the Battle of Penang. It's a very interesting thing that happened, or not interesting, it was sad when it happened, but it forged a strong friendship between Malaysia, Russia, and also France. Joining me in the studio is Her Excellency Ludmila Vorobyieva. Of course, she's been here before. She's here again to tell us about this event, and the event is happening very, very soon. And what we want is for Malaysians to know about what has happened and how these three countries remain strong by coming together every year and commemorating this event. This year is a special year simply because it's the 100th year, and there are a lot of things happening on the periphery or on the sidelines of the commemorative event. Coming back to bilateral relations between Malaysia and Russia, not many people know that there's a vaccine project. It's called a special project. It's called vaccine for dengue in Pahang. Can you tell us a little bit about this project between us and Russia?
Yeah, it's a very interesting project indeed, because dengue affects not only Malaysia but 100 countries in the world, not Russia, fortunately, because we are a cold country, so we don't have dengue, but we have the technologies to fight dengue. We have one company in Russia who is focused on biotechnologies, and they've developed a number of vaccines using biotechnologies and bioengineering. That means they don't use the live virus itself to produce as the vaccine as it's usually done, but they sort of construct this vaccine using bioengineering. The problem with dengue, as far as I know, I'm no expert of course, is that all the efforts before to produce a vaccine, they failed because the virus is very toxic, and if it's used, the live virus, to produce a vaccine, that a vaccine becomes even worse than the disease itself. So what they're trying to do together with the Malaysian counterparts to use this bioengineering technologies to produce a vaccine. And they're very hopeful that in 2 years' time there will be a anti-dengue vaccine, and that will represent a major breakthrough, and it will help people not only in Malaysia but around 100 countries in the world.
Right, so it'll be interesting if you go on to the internet and Google a vaccine for dengue in Pahang. I'm sure there'll be a lot of information there. Of course, if you're looking for something to write about, there's also a lot of information about how Russia and us are working together on a vaccine for this. Well, there's also another very interesting area, which is the halal industry in Kazan. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Kazan is the capital of Tatarstan, and Tatarstan is part of Russia. It's a region, predominantly Muslim region. Islam came to this region in the 8th century, I think, and Tatarstan has developed very close relations with Malaysia. Actually, the President of Tatarstan is in fact governor of Tatarstan, because it's a part of Russia. He's already visited Malaysia twice in 2 years' times, and the result of this visit, it's different joint projects that Tatarstan and Malaysia are developing. And one thing is the halal industry, because many Muslims live in Tatarstan, and they're interested in importing halal products from
Are there business opportunities
Malaysia
being put together, or rather platforms with or links between Tatarstan and people within the halal industry in Malaysia?
Yes, there are links being developed so that Tatarstan can import more halal products from Malaysia, and also develop to use the help of Malaysian experts to develop halal industry in Tatarstan itself.
Right. Another interesting area is we have Iskandar. In Russia they have Technograd, and it's in Kazan. Please tell us a little bit about Technograd.
Yes,
how different or how similar it is to Iskandar?
Well, the idea of Technograd, or the smart city near Kazan, is to build up a hub of technology and innovation, mostly IT.
Right.
So actually, Tatarstan has looked into experience of Iskandar and the projects that are there, and also some of the Malaysian companies are involved in designing and building this smart city. It will be one of the first in Russia, and Tatarstan is a very actively developing region of Russia with developed industries, and they're rich actually in oil also. So and they're very focused on innovation and use and developing of innovation technologies. And I think that is a great area of cooperation that is being developed between Malaysia and Russia, because if you look at goods, Malaysia and Russia are still far away geographically, so the cost to transport goods from one country to another is considerable. As for technology cooperation, it doesn't involve any transportation costs, but the yield is very, very good.
Right. Another thing which is interesting is the appointment of the honorary consul in Kota Kinabalu. What can we expect from bilateral relations between us and, of course, Russia with this appointment?
We have honorary consul. We've been having honorary consul in Penang for 19 years already, and the Institute of Honorary Consul, what we find is very helpful in promoting bilateral relations, because we cannot have part of the embassy or consul general in every part of Malaysia, but honorary consul, who is usually in this case Malaysian national, it's a person we can rely on to help us to build up presence of Russia in this parts of Malaysia, to help Russian people, Russian tourists who are coming to Penang in great numbers, and now more and more to Borneo, to Sabah and Sarawak. So we are very happy that we are having honorary consul in Kota Kinabalu who will look after our tourists, and visits from Russia to this part of Malaysia is getting more and more substantial, and we see that it's not people from Moscow or St. Petersburg, I mean the European part of Russia, who are coming more and more to Borneo, but people from Asian part of Russia, because Russia is usually regarded as a European country, but in fact, if you look at the map, you'll find that 2/3 of its territory is in Asia. And Vladivostok, which is on the Pacific coast of Russia, is much closer to Southeast Asia than it is to Moscow. The journey from Vladivostok to Kota Kinabalu takes only 6 hours, while journey by plane, of course, but the journey from Vladivostok to Moscow takes 8 hours. So people from this part of Russia like to spend their holidays in Southeast Asia.
So another business opportunity there for most of us are coming up with festivals and holiday packages within Sabah and Sarawak. This is a good way to bring in people from Russia. Well, before I let you go, Your Excellency, very quickly, for those of us who haven't traveled to Russia, and of course, in the press there's been a lot of talk about us, Russia, so on and so forth. And I mean, I know you know what I'm talking about, but for those of us who don't know or haven't been to Russia, what are we missing, or what do we need to see? When we
you're missing a lot. Russia is a beautiful country. It has a very rich cultural and historical heritage. So for those of you who want to go to Russia, my advice would plan at least 7 days. A shorter visit will be not...
you won't get to see much.
No.
So at least 7 days or more. On that note, Your Excellency, it was a pleasure having you here on the show. Stay with us right here on Bernama TV. We've got news updates coming up. We'd like to thank Her Excellency Ludmila Vorobyeva, who has made time off to be with us this morning. We hope to have her back at some stage before she goes back to Russia. We'll probably have her on the show once again. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Thank you very
much. It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
Stay with us right here on Bernama TV. On behalf of the Bernama Today team, I'm Jared Ratnam signing off. You have a great day ahead.